City Community Redevelopment Agency Board meeting Tuesday, March 24th, 2026. I'd like to stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, have roll, please.
Chairman John Eric Hoover.
Here.
Vice Chairman Chris Mayer.
Here.
Member Robert Hubbard.
Here.
Member Lisa Burke.
Here.
Member Christine Sullivan.
Here.
City Attorney Nancy Meyer.
Here.
City Manager Don King.
Here. Thank you. First up is one set of board minutes. I need a motion to approve the March 10th, 2026 CRA board minutes.
Motion to approve the March 10th, 2026 CRA board minutes.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is comments from the general public. I have no sign-ups. By show of hands, anybody like to speak? Okay, I'm going to close public comment and bring it back to comments from city manager. Pass to Mr. King for his comments.
Tonight's going to be very informative on a few things. I think most importantly is going to be the parks and the process that we're trying to accomplish right now. Derek's going to discuss basically our four parks, the direction we're going in, and what we're going to need is some direction and assistance and guidance from you guys on what it is that you want specifically on certain things. And so we're going to ask for, some guidance and some direction. And as we move forward, because we've reached the point where we've finalized products, we're at that stage where we're ready to roll forward with the projects. So that's a good thing because now our CRA is actually moving forward. We're starting to get those projects, off the table, out of theory and into application. So it's a good spot to be in. We're at the right place at the right time. We just want to make sure that we get it right now. Like we had the previous meeting, we want to get it right now because it's going to be who we are, what we are. It's going to be kind of like our brand. So as you guys look at it, make those hard calls, make those decisions, and let us help move that forward. Other than that, that's all I have to say.
Okay. So moving on to board business item number 2, Nix Park Boat Ramp Facility Improvements Project. I'll pass that back over to Mr. King for introduction. I guess
yes, I'm going to do that. Yeah, Derek's prepared for this one.
So the grant manager and I have been working on this. We've got this FWC grant for Nix Park, and what it's going to do is provide some funding to get that project done based on the feedback that we've received from the board and the community with the park master or conceptual plan. This part of this project, it required a cost assessment and kind of a phasing and schedule estimation. So we had that done through Stantec, which is the same company that's doing the city's dredging. With that, we've learned that the project, as you all wanted it, would be about $1.8 million. Generally, you're going to add a 10% contingency. So we're talking about a $2 million project to do Nix Park the way that the board wanted, which was to refresh at that park, redo the ramp, redo the boardwalk, redo the parking and the traffic and all that. The timeline was a little bit of a surprise too. We're dealing with the Army Corps, and so Stantec believes just that portion of getting the permits and all that's going to take about 18 months. So for just the design, so that's your design and engineering, that's going to take you to about October 2028, and then we can finally get to construction. That's just, and most of that's due to the Army Corps. So just so that you know, but as we get through that process, we are trying to find some money. This grant's unique in that it didn't prescribe a necessary match, but the more that you do match percentage-wise, the better score you have. Also, the conceptual plan that you all are going to approve later also helps that scoring. So the CRA is prepared with that extended timeline to do a 50% match when we get to that point. Right now, the only cost that will be coming up around September will be for the design, and it's going to be a twofold thing. We need to do design and engineering first, which is going to be about almost $300,000, and that's going to be a 50% match that will get those services that cost back from FWC. Now, once we have those permits in hand, we'll get a lot more points toward the construction phase, and so then again, we'll be asking for that grant from the construction side as well. Generally, when they give one, they give the other. But we're prepared to match that, so we'll be in a pretty strong strong position to get those construction funds as well. So for this, right now, we're just asking that you allow the executive director to enter the agreement for the grants and move the process forward.
Now, to give some information to that process, understand that with a lot of the stuff in the CRA projects that you, as a collective, have been working on and moving towards, what I've been trying to do is assist in that process so that as we develop those projects that we're doing, is I've had the team chase grants also. Because what I want to do is I want to maximize our CRA dollars as we move forward. So with some of the grants, limitations. And so that's kind of what you're seeing as we start looking at the grants and who we have to go through. But the end state of this is we have more money for what we want to do to make sure we're getting the end state product that we want. But with those grants, we have certain limitations. But unfortunately, this limitation right here with the Army Corps of Engineer, anything you do around water is going to require that. So if you want to do something at waterfront, you want to do something at a Brasher and it has to do with the water, getting inside the water and putting a fixed structure in the water, it's going to be 18 months. So please take that and just kind of take that with a grain of salt that, hey, that project's just going to take that long just because of what we need and what we want to do there. But because of the way we're doing this, we're actually going to be able to do more for that park. And that money will be spent over the time through that park. So it'll be, I figure estimated time on that will be 2030, that park's complete. So it's still within the side of our spectrum of the 2032 timeline for our CRA dollars. So definitely we'll be funding things through there. But with this process, we'll be able to make sure that we're best investing the money we have with our CRA projects and at a whole into the areas that we want. So like Brasher Park, you're looking at good development there because we'll have the funds there because now we've been able to offset some of the funds through a grant. So we're able to expand and get more of what we want as opposed to more of just what we think should be there.
I've got some questions for you. You go ahead. You go first.
No, go ahead.
I hate to run through on my head.
No, because mine will probably take longer.
Okay. So I'm all for grants to save us money to extend our CRA dollars. With as much moving pieces as we got going on down there right now, does this not like, hey, we're locked in, you know, I mean, it kind of locks us in versus like, you know, having the ability to wait until some of the other pieces start to develop before we dump our whole, you know, $1 million in there.
And I'd say in many instances, it allows us to do those things that we want to do, but in some aspects, we're going to have to get locked into stuff, like with the boat ramp and,
Well,
and the other
we
items.
talked about looking for another area for a better boat ramp. And so if we're talking about that, we're approving this, I'm kind of feeling like we're stepping on our feet.
Well, the boat ramp's already there. We move it.
Well, yeah, but again, if we find an alternative location, you
Right.
don't want to build a brand new tube ramp. Well, now, docks and stuff, yes, but not,
We all agreed we need a boat ramp. 100%.
and if there's no alternatives, this is the place.
Now,
Yeah, we're not going in, if we can't find one nowhere else, that is the boat ramp. But if we find another place that's better suited, and we decide that, hey,
Sorry.
usually my
We're
assistant next to
projecting
me.
it, I'm sorry.
My mic was picking up, I think.
Yeah, usually with my voice it does pick up. I just want to make sure we're not doing the cart and the horse thing, that's all.
right, and I will tell you, we've looked at other locations. We looked at Eptide. We've looked at Brasher Park would probably be another location. There's just certain areas where we've looked so far that really kind of limit. Because if we go out to Eptide, I don't know if it's really feasible out there. Because I've gone out there, I've walked the ground, and to put a boat out there with what we see going out of our ramp right now, I don't know if it's feasible.
There's a marina right
We're gonna
there.
do something.
Well, there's a marina there, but that would be something that we'd have to coordinate with them, separate from our own, because we do have land there that does go at Eptide that can be accessed. But based on what is out there right now, there would have to be a lot of engineering that goes out there to manage and address something to potentially not even be usable at this point. So we'd actually have to have an assessment done for a boat ramp at those locations, and any other locations that you guys can think of or identify, we'll go out and do.
We're getting ready to drop $350,000 to assess this situation.
Correct.
That's what Derek just told me.
To remind the board, the Adjourn is not in the community redevelopment district, so the
Absolutely.
board cannot make a decision on that piece of property. Also, this is a grant with timelines, of course, deadlines, and we were going off the direction that the board provided us when we were going over the park plan, which we probably should have put the park plan first on this item, but you'll see that we're going off of that data that we collected from the board and the community, and that's why we're going forward. This is just a refresh to keep it alive and well until you do finally make that final decision on where you're
So
going to put it.
2 million, 2.3 or 4 million is the refresh?
Correct, according to the engineer, and the city uses this engineer for a lot of their projects, so we trust their assessment.
Government money just doesn't spend like private money, does it? It just seems like it's just like 4 times the money for everything you do, you know?
And there's some of the challenges. I mean, my challenges in the past, if you use Army Corps of Engineers, you're going to get a great product, but it's going to cost you 3 times as much, which is unfortunate. Some of the challenges are when you are using federal dollars, there are federal limitations. But we do find ourselves constrained from it. What I don't want to do is I don't want to miss opportunities that are presented to us.
I don't want to miss opportunities either, but I also don't want to put sidewalks and streetlights in places that are going to get developed by developers.
Agreed.
Okay,
Agreed.
that's all.
Agreed.
Yeah.
$2.5 million worth, which is a great reason to look back and say, hey, they didn't do their job. And we're all finding new jobs instead of being here looking at the obvious in front of us. So
I also need to remind the board procedurally, if you decide not to move forward with this project, we are required by law to reassign the funds to a project or return it to the city and the county.
I think that's something that we still need a ramp. And it's still, if we went ahead as it is, that's still 18 months down the road even.
and I'm okay with that. I'm not trying to derail this, Derek. Please don't think that. But I also want everybody sitting here to be prepared. This is going to be an election thing. When it comes up for election, you guys approved almost $3 million into an area that we weren't sure they were going to redevelop with the boardwalk all the way across it or relocate the ramp or anything. I want us to make sure we're thinking now, not later.
But we also need to understand that money can only be spent in locations where CRA dollars are allowed to be spent. So it's not really like it's not like we're choosing not to do it.
So hold on, when you say Eptide's outside of, that's correct, but where does that start? The marina, I think, is still part of CRA, is not, or is it?
The marina is not. It is.
That is part of CRA, but as you pass through onto Eptide, that goes outside the CRA. If you can verify that.
Yeah.
And so, again, if we look at that area, I don't know if it's something that might, some kind of public-private partnership with the marina to be able to provide ramp services or whatever. And if we do something, maybe at Brasher Park for smaller scale stuff at first, maybe there's a way we can.
I don't think Eptide's a good idea. Look, I mean, your boats and
Not
trailers.
Eptide, but as you get,
Well, back in that area,
Right.
it's all residential.
I agree.
Boats and.
there's a marina there.
There's
I
2
know.
marinas back there right now.
Two, actually.
I know, but they're for,
I have Cody
People who
River
store their
Ventures
boats
located at 4,800 head tide lake, and it's not within the community redevelopment area.
The actual marina's not.
Correct.
So it's,
Fisher Drive is cut off generally.
Okay.
It does come down a little bit to grab Deidre, I think, but yeah, that's basically
Okay.
the end.
So it's not like we can use it in other
Right.
places.
okay.
And
It's
again,
kind of
my
a
job
contained
right now
problem.
is just to make us stop and think.
Yep.
Just because somebody says we're going to give you money if you do that, well, that may not be the best project. It may not be that might not be the right project.
We don't want to not use the money either if we have it.
We can always repurpose it on that site.
Can we?
Well, let me ask you this, because once they approve the grant based on these parameters, and the parameters are in here is a new 2-lane concrete boat ramp, docking facility, obviously that's something we want to definitely do, restroom, but all these things, other than the actual boat ramp itself, stays the same.
We learned today that actually the grant won't cover the pavilion. So that'll be something that's not covered. So
I was just reading that, so I thought-
we did learn that literally today, this afternoon, that it won't cover the pavilion. So it'll cover everything upland and in the water, but not the pavilion. So the restroom as well.
Well,
Restrooms are not covered.
The restrooms it's the picnic pavilions. The 2 that are there aren't covered for some reason.
And let me ask this, is that grant specific to that location?
It is. And a lot of times what they want to know exactly where it's going. They want to make sure you have a plan for it, and they want an engineered kind of document too to prove that you are ready to go to spend their money.
I have a question.
Answer.
I can't answer it.
I didn't answer, but
That's
we'll
why I
answer.
have a question. I don't know the answer. So you're talking about, okay, so the grant is for this much. We don't have to put money in. If we put money in, we get points. It ups our score. Explain the points. I mean, how many points do you get? How do you get those points? What it ups our score
Yeah.
to what? Why?
I'll check with the grant manager. You're basically given a grade on your grant request, right? So if we go in there with no plan at all, we're not going to get much in the way of any type of grade. And it's compared to other places because everybody's trying to get this money. So if we come in with a good plan, we show that we have the money and we're willing to provide the money and invest in it with them, that it'll look more favorably and they'll, most likely approve it, or you have a better chance of being approved for the grant. I think in the past, when I talked to Pam, we didn't have the conceptual plan, we didn't really have anything together, so we never were able to get this grant. Now we've got some things going that are really going to help us. We've got the ability to provide funds to it, we've got the conceptual plan, and now we're working with the engineer to actually get some estimated cost and timeline.
So in other words, you have to have a good grade to even get approved. You have to have a good grade. Yeah. What about the points? What is it?
Each grant's different. Some allow you points. I have to get with Pam exactly if they do the point system. There's different ways. You do points or percentages based on what
and
you
what
have.
Do those points give us?
A better
More
score.
money.
And your higher score generally means that you're more likely to get the stamp of approval when you're grant.
So the score and the points just all falls back to approval.
To approval. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would absolutely think that right now, because we're kind of up in the air and we're not sure exactly what's going to happen, we should invest in our boat ramp. Because losing our boat ramp right now, or having another storm come in and that thing, being totaled out or whatever it may be. So I would say that we would move forward with this, knowing that we don't have any idea what's going to happen down there, and there could be something whole grand, and later on we might have to end up backing over that. It's like putting in a pool and then deciding you don't want the pool later. You just
One thing too, and let me add to this. The majority is going to be paid for outside the city funds, right? We're going to augment that, but the grant is substantial, right?
Yeah, we're thinking about 50% should make it look very favorable.
Okay. Worst case, 50%.
Yeah.
I think we move forward with that. Like I said, all the pieces are still going to be there. The only thing question is it going to be in the long-term future a boat ramp? And I think we invest that, even if we were to find another location at some point in the future or whatever, because it's more just a boat ramp, it's parking. That's the big snafu when you talk about boat ramp, is all the trailer parking and all that. So that becomes a challenge, not necessarily the boat ramp itself. I think if we did find another location or whatever, we accommodate parking and everything, we could still have that as a ramp that we could use for police and fire and all other things. So I think the investment is worthwhile. And then of course, if it is turn out to be, we don't have any alternatives, then it's already invested in. So I don't think there's any bad move to go forward with this.
no, because we need to spend some zero money.
Yeah.
And this is also going to get us on the right path because currently we don't have a sovereign submerged land lease. We should. So in the scope of work from Stantec, they're going to help us with that as well.
Okay.
And it's the most central place for a ramp for fire and police.
Yeah. I mean,
it's
we could
the
use
closest.
it. And even we could open up for, if we did have an alternative location. Obviously, they're looking at building one across the river. If we put some other spots in or whatever, and we do find an alternative, that's still a very valuable resource for the city. Say it's more of a park in the future, long-term future. We can still open that up until people get their boats out for hurricanes and all different things. I said, the more access we have, the better. So I don't think we're going to do wrong by moving forward with this, to be honest.
In the approach that we as a team, as we bring things to you, we're looking at it like this: 5, 10, 15, 25. So this is our 5-year look. Now, granted, a boat ramp that goes out there, we want it to be in our 25-year plan because we want it to go out that far. But where do we get it in there? But what do we have in the interim and support, and where are we best investing, our investments now to cover down on those things that we don't have now as we move forward? And that's why you see the investments the way we're making them, the fact that we're building plans so we can get towards those investments, because we even have to do some of this work with you guys, kind of working with you as we move forward in order to be able to get the other money on the table so that you have the opportunity to vote in these projects.
There's a lot of wisdom sitting here right now. You got Captain Bob, you got Christine,
Yep.
You got Lisa, you got myself, you got the mayor. There's a lot of wisdom sitting here. I love this because it gets it on the table. We talk about it, we own it, and we move forward. It's not like we're like, okay, we don't want to do that. We want to either own it or we don't.
And that's fantastic. And we really appreciate it. That helps everything that we're doing. I mean, without it, we wouldn't have that direction. But right now,
I'll own it and make the motion we approve staff recommendation to designate Don King Jr., Executive Director, the authority agent to sign and receive all documents pertaining to the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission Florida Boating Improvement Program grant under the FWC BP or FBIP.
Anybody want to second that eloquent motion?
Second.
Okay, motion is second. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Seeing none, put a vote on in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next up is item number 3, property purchase 6319/6345 Springer Drive. I'll pass that to Mr. King for introduction.
So as everybody's tracking, that is the property that we're currently looking at purchasing for the reverse osmosis water plant. So the one right next to us for $800,000. Right now, we have got ourselves, moving forward with that process, at least as far as the getting with the buyer, costs and all that. So right now, we're at a point where there's decisions we need from council in direction to take us forward. So at that point, I'll let Derek, walk you down the path where we're at with this one.
This is this will be Sal's project. I can, if there's questions of whether or not CRA, this is something CRA does, I can answer those. I have that prepared. But this sounds like
There's one question I want to get an answer to. It's a little bit confusing in the packet. So 6319 and 6345, that is the combined big lot. And then there was on one of the second appraisal, I believe it had the other lot to the west of that was not involved in any of this, right?
No, we're not. That's another one that we're still pursuing on purchasing.
So how come that was just? So the second appraisal included that in the appraisal, but the first one didn't, right?
No, because we wanted to get an appraisal for that property, so we did get the one, but we still need to get a second one.
Well, do we need the second one because that was came in it?
And we that's right. We won't need a second one
'Cause it was very much lower.
500,000.
Yep.
So we're covered in that if we need it.
We're covered as we move forward on that one. We're confirming some issues with legal to make sure that we can use CRA dollars to buy that second piece of property. But the first piece of property is fine with the CRA limits.
Yeah. And obviously, just so board knows that it showed 2 parcels on that one, but it's just that one parcel on the east side, the big 1 point. How many acres was it? It was a 3.8 acres.
3.8 acres, and I did include the appraisals in there, and I included a summary of what both the appraisals came for. Appraisal 1 was $1,403,000, and the second appraisal was $1,390,000. Our contract is for $800,000.
Okay, and then the last question I have is based on the design of the water plant, is that 3.8 acres sufficient to house that water plant? So we won't need anything else?
No, for the water plant, no.
Okay.
Like I said, the other parcels that we're talking about later on are for well sites,
Right.
and the one on Coons Road is for the deep injection well. But this is all for the plant. This is everything. The design is based on that location.
I'd like to make a motion. Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to designate Don A. King Jr., the Executive Director, as the authorized agent to sign the real estate and purchase agreement for 6315 and 6345 Springer Drive.
Second.
Got a motion second. Any further discussion? Public comment? Seeing none, put the vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Looks like we're buying a piece of property. Next up, item number 4,
Can I
Wayfinding.
say one thing before we move
Absolutely.
forward? Just for clarification, we're purchasing this under a special warranty deed, okay? And special warranty deeds are not what they sound like. It sounds like, oh, we got something special. You got something special, all right, because it doesn't guarantee you anything. But I look further in the wording, we have an opportunity to get title insurance, and we should before we move forward, because that special warranty deed that Mr. Patel, who's selling the property, it says during my time, but it doesn't go back before that. So the special warranty deed only guarantees the property from the time he bought it until the time he sold it. And he bought this thing at a foreclosure sale, it looks like. So make sure that we get that title insurance on this property.
Well, that'd be part of the closing.
Yep.
Right?
And title insurance has to precede his purchase. Well, they can't just say, okay, well, Mr. Patel from here on out, because there could be something hanging back there. But be careful if you're ever buy a piece of real estate, personal, commercial, or anything. Special warranty deed. I got clocked on a townhouse one time on that, and the manufacturer told me, the builder, Pulte Homes, told me, sorry, you bought a special warranty deed. And I'm telling you, I was picketing their sales trailer the next morning. They came out with lawyers and begged me to stop, and they fixed the problem. But it was about in my world, it was a $30,000 problem, and they were prepared to stick me with it because it was a special warranty deed. So be careful when you see special. General warranty is always the best way to go.
And that's one of the things we did identify, and one of the things we are looking at is we're going through the closing process with what needs to be finalized and captured. So that.
I read it all. It looks pretty good. I think we're protected. Just make sure that title insurance precedes his purchase. Yeah.
Okay. Next up, item number 4, Wayfinding Bid Assistance and Construction Administration. Pass it to Mr. King for introduction. Back over to Derek.
All right. So during the board's last meeting, we finally were able to get approval on the suite of signs. And so that's the end of the original project for us. We have this option for bid assistance and construction administration. It's always been in the original packet. The board picked such an elaborate sign that we want to make sure that it meets expectations. And so this option allows the company who created the design and the manufacturing documents to sit by and vet these fabricators to make sure and hold them accountable to the design. So what they're going to do, they're going to assist Sal and I in the bidding process, dealing with the location, with FDOT and things like that. Things that we're not material scientists and we're not design gurus. So they're going to help us with that, make sure that that image that you saw, the fabricator follows it as closely as possible. And so it's almost a guarantee for quality of work.
This goes out to bid, right? But they're going to help you clarify what the scope of bid is, correct?
Right.
Make sure that we get what we asked for, and it's going to be a longevity.
And not only the look, but material. They're going to make sure material, they're going to make sure that 3D look with the backlighting, all that's incorporated in there. They're going to go through the bidding process. They're going to work through FDOT on getting those sites permitted correctly, because some are in FDOT right away.
Don't we have to run electric to some of these spots?
Correct. That's, again, part of it. It's going to be a complex project, and they're going to help us.
It's above our pay grades, what you're telling me.
Well,
Our time and ability with everything else we have going on, they'll be able to
what it is. As a professional, that's what they make plumbers for.
I will tell you, they are so into the detail of their product that they actually sent us an email. I showed them the trucks. They said, "Great. By the way, we drove at night by your front sign, and there's a lighting issue." So that's how good they are with keeping up with their product and the quality of detail. So we're comfortable that they're going to provide the same quality on this.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase agreement with KMA for bid assistance and construction administrative services.
Second.
Okay, got a motion second. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Seeing none, put to a vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is item number 5, Park Conceptual Design Plan. I'll pass that back over to Derek for introduction.
Well, before Derek gets going on this, just so that everybody understands, you're going to see some conceptual designs here. You're going to get, and keep that in mind, they're conceptual designs. And so as you're looking at them, feedback is great. It'll help us in the direction moving forward. But I really want you to take a look at some of them, because even with Olsner Park, we kind of made an expansion piece so you can see what that other piece of real estate would look like on there. So there are some items that we kind of did some adjustment and tweaks just for your visibility on them, just so that if there's an appetite for it, if there is an appetite for that property, this is what you could potentially see with that, with these park conceptual designs.
Don, I looked at this for hours. What do you want me to make a decision on?
So just to preface, this is the culmination of all the input from the board, the city council, the community, staff. This is a communication tool. It's not you're voting on anything. This is the culmination of all that data that we collected for your viewing. Now, how we use it, I'm going to ask you, probably in a few minutes here, a question, and you'll see how we're going to actually end up using this. For one, it helps with grants. Again, we're going to take this, show that these grant people that we're serious about our projects. We have a plan in place and we have a vision in place. 2, it helps us as we go through the engineering process. Right, these are nice pictures. They're a culmination of what everybody kind of wanted to see. When an engineer looks at this, they're like, well, that's not going to quite fit, right? Or, this material isn't available, right? From staff, we're going to ask you, hey, we're ready. We have, let's say Brasher, we're going to Brasher here. Yep. So we have 2 grants that we're working on. We have one for the kayak launch that we're going to get. And then very, very soon, we're working with a grant agent from a playground company. We're probably going to get that too, but it's not money. It's the value of a product provided, and it's highly customizable, right? So as we take and we go back and we come up to these projects, we're going to say, hey, CRA board, I got a playground going in, and I'm going to look at Brasher, page 137, right? Now this plan shows that the playground is going to go in that spot just to the left of the proposed bathroom. Yep. Is that where you want it? Do you want something else there? Do you like the size of the playground? If you tell me yes, I'm going to go and tell this lady, go ahead, run for it. If you tell me no, we want somewhere else, I can let them know that we can go a different direction. But what this is a tool for to communicate.
137.
137 bottom left.
Oh, 137.
If you guys want me to go through stuff, you're gonna have to give me some direction, because it's included in the agenda, it's not necessarily a PowerPoint, so give me just a second.
Yeah, 137 is page.
Just a quick response. I love the playground where it's at. I think it'd be awesome.
Now, when we put a piece of the puzzle together, that obviously is going to limit what you can change as you go forward, because that piece of the puzzle is locked in, right? So then we know where the bathroom's going to go, we know where the sidewalk's going to go, things like that. So as we come to you with these and we say, hey, you know, we got this playground project coming in, is this good? You give us a direction, we're going to go forward and work toward. Now, when we talked to this playground grant specialist, she did say that we should probably also do the bathroom. Now, I talked to the building official. Now, this is a pretty elaborate bathroom you see here, multi-story. He said a slab-on-grade, flood-proof structure will work in that spot as well. And so that will help get the project complete, because we'll probably have, you know, more money to do the other things instead of build a multi-story Taj Mahal bathroom.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
So,
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just saying, this might affect, this is way overbuilt. I mean, way overbuilt.
What they try to do is grab everybody's opinion and throw it on there.
Yeah.
It's
There's a
way
lot
too
of
much.
options.
Yeah. And so I think we need to rethink the scope of what we're going to do there before because we just, for example, if we was to do exactly what this shows and invest in that, we wouldn't have $1 left for anything else. It was all good. $3 million.
You're building this in step two.
We probably need a water tower with mouse ears or something.
Right. What we did with Nick's, right, where we got a cost estimate and project estimate, we'd have to do this with this part too to get an understanding of that. With the other components, now the grants are going to cover a lot of the playground and the slip for the kayak launch. We're going to talk with her and may cover the bathroom too. We got to have these conversations, but at least we know those are two items that are going to be covered.
You got to do the same amount of money on this as you do Nick's Park, you said? Or
What we got to do is we have to get an engineer who does construction to give us a cost estimate for that timeline estimate. Every grant's probably going to want that anyway. We need it because we need to know what we need to save going forward to get these projects done, or what we can afford. Specifically, the specific items that we can afford.
was it even laid out exactly the way Brasher Park is? That's the whole thing looks a little hokey to me. The whole south side of Brasher Park, that big green building, and you get that building out on the water. Yeah, you can't even do that.
And right, we had discussed so that green lawn building is actually a covered boardwalk.
You
take
can't
the
do that,
cover
though.
off. Take cover off, save some couple bucks.
You got mangroves all through there. You got mangroves.
Well, so this would cut. So what you see here is actually you're cutting because the regional planning council believed when they're looking at the parking lot size that it's overkill. So that's not cutting the mangroves. That's actually cutting some of the parking area because the parking lot, in their view, was kind of too much for what you had there. So that boardwalk would cut into that, not the mangrove.
You talk to the park guys, the utility guys go out there. You get 30 cars out there sometimes. People, and they go out there because it's open. They like the views. You got buildings all around it now, and you can't put a dock on top of the mangroves.
I will say
You want to eliminate the parking.
This is the exact same image that was provided to you guys in the last board
I
meeting.
know. I didn't like it then either.
Yeah, so that's
Never
again,
seen
that's
30
a
cars at Brasher Park in
that's
my
a-
life, and
well,
I've been here for 10 years.
And so just
I saw it briefly, but I didn't. Yeah.
So if you look at concept number 2 with the boat ramp inclusion, whoever designed that boat ramp, that's not how a boat ramp, you just don't put a ramp in. I mean, there's no turnaround, that didn't work.
is you couldn't figure out if it parking for the trailers either.
That's not viable.
We're going to have a canoe launch, not a boat ramp.
Yeah,
Right?
Right.
Severe
You get a
dredging
kayak,
required.
canoes, jet ski. But they had a dock on there that was like a handicap kayak dock, floating dock. I didn't see it on here. It was on the last one I looked at. I like that idea.
That's so that your bottom left picture there. That's the one that's jutting out on the bottom right. You'll see on the parking lot. You'll see like a L-shaped. with
Yeah, I
a-
see that.
That's where they're proposing, and that's we have that grant ready to go for that. So if that's a good location, we can start moving
Well,
forward with that piece.
you've got a problem though, because you've got people that live back there that have boats, and I mean, they get out at high tide, but the only way they can get out is through there.
through that piece
And
right
where
there.
this boat, they got a boat sitting there, a big boat sitting there, it's grounded even at high tide where it's sitting.
So that
They've got to be
actually,
clean, they got to be open.
that's the Coon Roads channel that has no
Mhm.
houses on it. There's no houses on. Are you talking about?
Well, they come in from the other side on Coons Road, okay. So,
They're-
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
across-
that's the Coon, yeah.
There's a little bay like
so
there.
that dock is fine there,
Yeah.
but that big green
And they-
dock on the south side,
They even agree with that. They said that's probably not feasible. All they did was take the input from
Right.
staff or from the public and put it there. They also agree that's not feasible. So that's something it sounds like we can just
Pull that out.
put a big old X on it.
but the
Even
floating
the,
dock
even
is fine.
the handicap canoe or launch,
Right.
right? Leave that. Take out the greenhouse and the hut. Leave the green shade roof over top of that parking lot thing.
Yeah.
I think
You
get some
want
shade
covered
to some
parking?
people.
You're going to pay
What's
for
it?
covered parking?
It's not covered parking, Bob. This is where people are going to throw their fishing rods in. They're going to sit there and look at the water and watch the dolphins. That's what it's a shade spot.
Is
they're
the
gonna be
roof
viewing.
going to obstruct the
Well,
fishing
where's the
rod
boardwalk at then?
So
casting?
if you look at the 137, that bottom left picture,
All
look
right.
at that aerial picture. All right. You've got the structure on the far west, right? That would be a pier type. That you would do your fishing and stuff probably
Right.
from there. You wouldn't do it over here where there's nothing in there.
Well, you got a weather station there too.
I live right down from there. There's no fish in there. You want to get further out. And my thought was on this park, if you were going to integrate a ramp, you would need to come in from the right-hand side there. You would basically drive around the perimeter, the north side of that park. You'd come around, and the very corner down here is where the far left bottom corner. That's where you would want a launch, and that's where we also did our dredging studies. All that area right there to map that out. And so you would launch there, and then you would basically pull in. You could park here, and then when you go to get your boat, you would traverse that same thing, and you would leave the middle places for bathrooms or whatever. But you would have to drive around the perimeter of the park to make it work, and you wouldn't want to have a launch
And
back
that's
here.
I think it's
that
too-
park's
too
just not big
shallow.
enough to launch
It's
boats
the
out
same
there.
size as Nick's Park. I mean, it's the
No,
same.
but you'd have water at Nick's Park. You don't have any water out here. to
Again,
launch.
as I keep saying, and again, taking Bill Rockets there on the 31st, you can launch several craft there that you can do at any time.
Like a
Jet
flat bottom boat, jet skis.
You've got
I get that.
it's an opportunity to take pressure off of other ramps. Jet skis, canoes, kayaks,
Eric,
John boats.
could you not pull in?
I could launch my fishing boat there most times.
Eric, could you not pull in and then back straight up there and do that? Could you not do that? Isn't there enough room there to do that?
Which I
When you pull in a skinny road right before you get to the park, where the green grass is, just pull in there and then back up. Is there not enough room to do it?
on the if the ramp is where.
If the ramp's where they have it, the picture now on the
No, you'd have to come in
top
there.
right
I mean,
hand
you got when you've got a trailer behind you, got to really swing around. I mean,
But you're not talking about a big boat. You're talking about flat bottom boats, small flat bottom boats. You're talking about jet skis.
the 21-foot center console.
So you
can
want
launch
to
there.
put this big green dock on the south side, take out the parking, and now you want to put trucks and trailers, or cars and trailers in there on top of it. Right now, the way the parking lot is out there, you can only put like 17 trucks and trailers out there, and then you don't have any room for anybody else hardly at all.
Again, this park is hardly ever utilized other than kayak fishermen and
This
whatnot.
park? This park's used a lot.
I may see 4 or 5 cars down there, but all the time. I mean, it's I mean, on the
I
weekend,
don't
I
think
don't
the
know.
parking's there either. I don't think the parking is there.
We've talked about the two corner lots that are for sale.
It's the
that we're
same
trying-
size as
talking
Nick's
about
Park,
buying.
folks. It's the
right?
same size. So you could configure it in a way that you
Yeah, the
can
next
park
park
it.
is all parking just about.
Well, they got a restroom and that, and they've got a
Right.
little center pavilion there, but it's roughly the same spot. And again, we're not talking about making this the main boat ramp. It's just another point of access. And if it's full, you actually can park down Coons Road. as
On
well.
the road?
On the side. So if you had a really busy day, and again, this is kind of a
Could you?
More
Is that
of a-
legal?
more of a local
It's not a
launch.
sign
Yeah,
out
I mean,
there,
people
right?
do.
Yeah.
People do. We don't, yeah.
Yeah, parking on the side of the road. I mean,
As long as police and fire can get
and you got all that Coons Road that you could stack along there. It'd be a longer walk, obviously.
So would this require you going back to Florida League of Cities and saying, hey, this is not what we like?
Well, they just need to. It was just conceptual.
Their Their agreement with us is done.
Yeah.
They're out of this equation. This is
We're not
what.
gonna do any more designing.
Well, this is not
This is
engineering either.
this is conceptual.
Conceptual.
This is to elicit this conversation because staff needs direction and guidance because we can't move forward. If you're going to decide to do a boat ramp here, right, the playground won't fit. But the issue is that we're coming up to is that we have opportunities for playgrounds through grants, so we need direction. If you want to do the playground route, you're going to kind of commit to that design because then you won't be able to necessarily fit everything else in there. Right?
In my opinion, playgrounds are important, and we have lots of parks. And obviously, we're looking at doing probably a splash pad and playground stuff over. Waterfront Park is obviously where that focus needs to be. Do we need a playground here? I would say no. Make this more of as a lookout fishing type thing. You don't necessarily need a playground there. You can put other amenities in there the playground ahead there
The
is
only thing nice about a playground, Eric, is if a couple goes out there and the husband wants to like go out there on that thing and throw his fishing right out there, kids can play in the park and mama can watch them in a little fenced-in area.
Or the other way around.
Or the other way.
Mama can go fish, daddy can go sit over there and watch some kids.
I will go watch the kids. No
Yeah,
problem at all.
if
I'm just saying.
I've been known to watch some kids.
A lot of citizens requested a playground. And what you're doing, you eliminate parking with that big green building on the south side, and that's a disaster.
So we all agree, the building on the south side is out.
Yeah.
Not the building, but the,
Now, you want to
walkway.
push,
the walkway, wipe out that
I mean,
on the south
a
side.
couple pavilions out there is nice, and just a one-story bathroom, maybe with a little foyer.
And I think we all agreed on the west side, we do like that walkway out
And the still house.
to that, yeah.
Well, I'd
I like
actually
the
like
little
to see,
stone
I'd
house
actually like
out
to see that go like through the mangroves out to there, as opposed to having a wrap around the corner. I think you need to reconfigure that. But I like the where it's at. It'd be nice to kind of have a little walkway through the mangroves.
Right, like over at Green Key Park.
Yeah.
That's what we originally asked for.
But we'd have to
No, we had
Yeah.
originally thought that the mangroves were going to stay 12 feet tall. We couldn't see over them, so we got this 2-story house to look over them. But now we have an idea that the mangroves are going to be taken care of, and they're going to be brought down over time, and we'll be able to see over top of them. So that won't be as problematic.
Have you been to Green Key though in Newport Richie? Have you been to the walkway that
That's
goes
in
through
Newport
The
the?
little station, it's very nice to walk through that.
Yeah, because you can go through the mangroves, regardless high or low or whatever. You can see like into the mangroves, and it's really, really cool. And then you
Okay.
get to the end, and there's
So you
a
think we
lookout.
save money by going
There's
straight
a
out to the
lookout
little
tower.
Oh,
thing?
absolutely.
I mean, it
Okay.
twists.
It
Twists
makes the
and
parking lot
turns
bigger
through.
for
It's
him,
like a maze,
right? For Bob says,
except
get rid
for,
of that.
it would make it'd give more docking space if you did it the way it is here.
Yeah, but
You're not
that was
really
the
the
original
only,
Walkway.
concept.
the only docking space you really need.
I don't mean docking, I mean walkway.
Yeah, walkway.
If you had a ramp, you just need a little platform that you could put the boat up, get in.
I didn't even mean docking, I meant walking.
Walking, yeah.
So maybe we save money by just going straight to it,
Yeah.
and then we reposition some things to give you the turnaround that you might need to be able to back up your canoe, or
Yeah, and if you-
since you don't want to take your center console over to the other Nick's Park, we'll drop your center console in over here.
A boardwalk like she talked about would be nice off of the still house, and you could have a little covered area, like a little 10 by 10 covered area, if they want to fish or sit out there and read a book or whatever and get the views. The still home, you could have a observation deck above that or next to it. It's an 8 by 8. You see it in the Keys everywhere. Houses have these little observation decks next to them. So you got to watch the sunset, and that's not a big deal to do.
To me-
8 foot or 10 foot by 10
Well, the
foot.
only thing we're talking about is handicapped access, though, right?
The up top don't need to be, but I would have a ramp up to the still house. I think it's in one of the diagrams. They have a little ramp that goes up to it.
If you focus the walkway on the north side, you have some.
Right. That's fine.
It's a much better walkway.
That's
And you
fine.
can get- Then you have access to the other side. You kind of meander through the mangroves.
And
Really nice.
and when you're in the park and you want to see the west and the south because that's where the big view is, and that would be out of the way.
Salt
I agree with
Springs
that.
has a camera, right? Salt Springs has a camera. Could we put a camera out there?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
And if a playground is important, you could always have just a small scale, something to play on, not just
Right.
a playground.
Playground is important, and he's got a grant for it.
That's so. The point of this item was to show you just the report, right? This is a good exercise of how we're going to use the report, but I do need some direction because I don't want to waste this person's time, right? And I need to know what we're going to be putting there, right? Because that's how the grant's going to be moving forward. The ADA compliant kayak launch, if that's an okay spot, if you feel like that spot's good, then that's okay. That's easier to deal with. The playground, because the playground's going to interact with the other components of the park, I need to know where you want it and how big.
I like where it is on there.
Yeah, so council, what I think would help in this process is we look at this, it's two-part. One, to show you what's been designed for you for concept, so that you guys can start getting your head wrapped around, hey, this is what I don't, because we're gonna come back to you with engineers and concepts to build what you want. We're gonna get into even more detailed conversation on what exactly is gonna go there. Because that's gonna be on a different map, different piece of paper with us plugging certain things in. So this is to see how that conceptual design came out and how you guys feel about it. How you feel about it, where you want to go from here. Because we're going to bring the other piece to you.
Yeah,
But-
and I have a very soon appointment with this woman, so I just need a little direction. On the
But the part two of this is, in the process of this, putting this stuff together, we've gone after grants, and I've been very transparent about that. These conceptual designs, and that's where Derek is trying to hit you guys with this right now, is we're trying to get your concurrence on those projects that are granted to be this conceptual design so we can move forward with the conceptual to go forward with the grant, not necessarily with the permanent plan in place, but the fact that we have two items here
So we
on
can
this
move it
project.
around. We can move the playground around and do all that stuff with your grant.
No,
It's
because
engineered.
they're going to come. They're going to go out there with us, and I'm going to say this is the space that they wanted. They're going to look at that space and say, okay, this is what I can provide you based on the perimeter on the space. So I need to know
Drawings, how can you tell them where it's gonna be?
because this is a manufacturer. It's a grant from a manufacturer. So they manufacture these, and they're providing us a material, not money. They're providing us with the material, the actual playground. So in order to figure out what they're going to give us, we need to tell them where is it going to go. And then you do that site assessment.
We need to get our crap together here.
And this
first.
playground is where the old other playground was before, I believe, isn't it?
Currently, yes.
Yeah,
And
that's fine.
my question is, do you want it to go there, and do you want it to be that size?
Well, the problem with putting it there is Eric doesn't think you can turn a boat around there.
No, it's not.
No.
I mean, if you have it where it's at, and you basically you would drive in between the playground and you leave enough space there to get around it. That's all you got to do is have access to go around it. Let me ask you this. I don't know this manufacturer or whatever, but obviously we want this lookout structure or whatever. Would it be something that we could possibly integrate the playground into that, where you'd have kind of in the middle, you would have, I envision like these little wood things that they get in a boat and climb up on and stuff like that, as opposed
Their
to,
material is metal and composite. I mean, you can do a lot with them with colors and themes, but it's metal and composite.
Maybe
now.
plastic, yeah.
I just wonder if we couldn't integrate that into the building so that they could actually, if you had your parents out there fishing and the kids could be playing right behind you in close proximity as opposed to.
That's built in like park benches there, something sit down and eat lunch or whatever underneath the shade.
Well, that too, but I mean, if you have in the middle of that,
You want kids out in the middle of the water out there?
you're on a deck.
No, you don't want them on a deck up by the water.
I don't think.
In the middle of a structure?
Remember when you were a kid, I used to climb everything. I climbed
Yeah.
over that rock.
In the middle of which structure are you talking?
Well, I'm just saying, again, I'm not,
Out here, he wants to put
I got a grandson, I wouldn't leave him on a dock at all.
You want to put a playground out there on the west end?
no. You see this big structure here, and again, I don't know how elaborate that is. I just see the roof of it.
Concept water
Put the
too.
officer out there all the time.
Which picture?
Hold on, let me see if I got a better picture of it. Yeah, so if you look at page 136,
136.
you're looking at this two-level structure. It's got one, these chase lounges there. It's 2 levels or whatever. It's a fairly large footprint, a play area with.
So you're gonna, the first floor of that structure is the playground, then
Yeah, you have some kind of, again, do you want a full-fledged playground like we got Waterfront Park?
Wait a second. I don't even see how this is ever going to be in the city's budget to build something that big. It's almost like we asked for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath home and we got
You got a
spent
mansion,
for
yeah.
a mansion.
It's well built,
So
for
to
sure.
even plan around something like that, that's not in our budget. Like Chris said, the city dollars don't go far. So why are we even looking at this as an option?
If you wanted a structure there,
But
to look
yes,
out.
but that is way beyond, like I said, I
She
wanted
wanted a
a
shed.
Right.
fishing shack on stilts, and what
Yeah,
I got
fishing.
here
But
was.
again,
Taj
in
Mahal
order,
on the
you're going
water.
to have some amount of ADA capability to it. So whether it's a
I
ramp that goes,
understand.
so otherwise you can't have that.
But this right here would eat up our entire budget. I cannot see construction in the water of this size, of this scope, of these products ever being
That building
something
by itself is
feasible.
1.5.
I'm telling you,
Easy, yeah.
I don't see it happening.
Again, what I'm saying is that if you want, I think you need to decide, do you want a playground? Do you want a place to play? What level of play do
We
you
want
want?
a playground. We want it in the middle of the park there somewhere.
Yeah, kind of where it is.
Realistic. Yeah.
Realistically, I think that,
Put a fence around so you can
I
drive.
do-
most people that go to playground going to go to Waterfront Park. There will be some
I
ancillary.
do agree, I don't think we need a huge playground there.
The one that we have there has been shut down forever because it's floods, it's just nasty, and it got bulldozed.
Well, we're gonna
So-
fix it.
I have seen kids play in that park for years there. They go over and they play in that park.
And I can also want to also say we're looking at purchasing deep. Sal's really depressed over here. The up the road, which is closer to the development where there's a lot of kids, that's where our deep injection wells are going to be. I would imagine we would have an opportunity to probably put something there to use for
I
playgrounds.
was thinking about that for parking. Additional parking right there where the deep water
all the
wells
way
are.
at the end of the Coons Road.
And they can
What's wrong
walk
with
out there.
walking?
Well, that's why I'm
Those kids
walking,
off
but that
the
is a
road,
long walk.
Sounds like a good time to get some exercise.
Oh, yeah, okay, Chris, you park out there. So
But
everybody else
for
can
the
park in
council,
park.
you know, let me finish this final part, so, because I know that Derek's, that this is a big item for him, is that with the items that we're bringing before you, with these conceptual designs, we at least want your input saying, yes, we want a playground, yes, we want it about this size, and we would like it in this general location, because what we need to do is we need to act now on these grants in order to get these things into the process. I can't do that without a conceptual design and at least a direction to go, because if we don't have that, we can't move forward. I lose that grant, and that money that we would save to build this no longer exists.
Derek, can we agree to this? And if everybody, let me just try to head this off a little bit. So, Derek, we don't want the Taj Mahal out there on the water. We want something much smaller than that, something that's a little more like one of those fish houses. out
Did Joey Deep
there,
call
right?
you today?
We do want a park.
He
We have a
builds the
playground
still
for the
houses.
kids,
He's
with a
gonna
fence
call
around
you.
it, okay, that they can. Eric, I think Eric's got a valid point there. If I've got two, let's call it people that don't know how to back up the trailer, pulling in there, they should be able to pull around and somehow back up into stuff without trying to tear out two fences in the bathroom. So we need some kind of a small boat launch on the left side of any of those pictures, which means basically the top picture right there on page 136. You know, if that boat ramp was right there somewhere, and in the corner on the bottom left where that tree in the shade is, you see that there? Maybe some kind of a boat ramp right there that they could pull around and back into.
The only
Yeah.
practical place for a boat ramp is in the top right-hand corner on 137.
Go to 137, show what you're talking about. I'm
We're
sorry.
gonna have
Top right-hand
we're
corner.
gonna need an engineer to tell us what's actually feasible out there.
Well, yeah, they're not gonna be feasible.
And you see with Nick's Park, just, trying to permit a pre-existing ramp is gonna take years. This may take us out past, if we do that, it may take us out past the life of the CRA. We'll have to get that question answered when we
Okay.
ask an engineer for the.
I'm just trying to give you as much information because we're chasing rabbits
Well,
here.
then
Bob,
let's-
let me ask you a question, please. Top right picture 137.
Mhm.
Okay, boat ramps right there on the bottom right.
All right,
You're saying that's the only place we can put it?
yep.
Okay, stop right there. Just stop. Eric said that there's no way to back into that. So how do you back into that?
If you go out the parking lot, turn around and act like back where you're, then you
Like
back
you're going to
right.
leave, and then you back in. Yeah.
Yeah, you can back, because you go on the west side, there's rocks out there. Engineering that, and trying to dredge, you got some water where this boat ramp is, and there's kind of that's where they launch kayaks now. I wouldn't even think about the boat ramp. You want them to work on it, that's fine, but they want their park together now. Leave that the way it is, the way it is natural right now. So we want to put a boat ramp in
We-
later, you can do it. But let's get a bathroom, let's get the playground, and get the still home started with a boardwalk.
Yeah.
That's what we want to put out there.
As long as you plan for the road to go around the perimeter of the park,
Well,
that leaves you options in the future.
you've got a walkway that you can pave, a one-way, single lane,
Yeah, that's
that they can
as
go
long
around.
as that's there,
If
it leaves
you put
options.
a boat ramp in there, then we'll pave that, make
Are
it
you getting
wider.
this, Derek?
Yeah, it may shift the restroom and the playground down.
Well, we're getting rid of that green long
Right.
sausage looking.
I'm making sure I understand. So by doing a driveway, you're gonna probably shift those down to the south a little bit, right? And
Just
so
loop the park for
you lose
And I
driving.
agree with you on the stilt home being a little bit to the north and a boardwalk out to it on the north side. Because you don't want to obscure the views, and it's not going to interfere with a road if you want to put in there later. Then I'd say off the north end of that stilt house, you want to put like this dock, this covered dock, put a little boardwalk with a little covered area if they want to go out and they want to fish or sit and relax and watch someone fish.
Yep.
You have a little area on the end of that. And years down the road, we can add to it if we want to. But there you have a park. It's not going to bust the budget. You've got everything covered budget-wise, and people got the park back. And if you want to do a boat ramp later, you want to add to it later, you can always do that.
We had learned that the property line is actually to the north is really tight. It's basically that mangrove line, so we can't go any further north. I know at some point there was a picture of like a boardwalk out there. That's why it's not in here, because we learned that's the property line. So we can't go that direction with anything. But I am understanding a perimeter drive.
Yep.
And then in the kayak where it's at, we can leave the beachy area as a future expansion of a boat launch,
Yep.
right? Okay.
Yep.
The bathroom will be a slab-on-grade flood-proof structure.
Waterproof. Yep. With a little shade on it. With a little shade.
Playground.
And it doesn't need to be a very large bathroom.
No, and the building official said that was fine. The playground where it's at, I remember what the old one looks like. Is that a good size? I think
That's fine.
it was a medium, wasn't large and small as medium.
Yeah, I think that's
Okay.
fine. Yeah.
We're going to put a fence around it.
All right, fence, and actually they're going to do that pour in place, like soft padding stuff too.
Love it.
No
Yeah,
mulch,
that'd be great.
no
Yeah,
mulch,
love
right?
it. Yeah.
That'd be great.
And then so the stilt house style. Now the boardwalk straight through the mangrove.
Straight over top of the mangroves. They're gonna be 6 feet tall, and you're gonna build this thing. I don't know how you mentioned something about Green Key. Is that what you're talking
Yeah.
about?
And
Whatever.
It'd be great if everybody would go by.
You know Green Key?
I do. I walk that boardwalk, but
Yeah.
I know exactly
That's
what you're
exactly
looking
what
for.
I'm talking
So
about.
something like
Involved
that,
with permitting
just
on
like that.
Sal?
There might be an issue
Yeah,
with that.
there
We
might
might,
But on the mangrove side, yeah. So that could be an extra permitting thing. With that
So we
might-
may have to go out where it is and go farther north to put the stilt home.
I'd like to keep both options open.
Right.
You know,
I like
that
that.
way we have both options open. If we can
Woods.
cut through, they may ask us to mitigate. If we whenever you remove any mangroves, you're gonna have to mitigate them somewhere else. I mean, that's the first thing they're gonna ask you. So if there's an area that we can mitigate, and if they allow it, then we can go ahead and cut straight through. The issue that you had with when you brought up the park, it was either like that before, and they had the opportunity before the mangroves grew, and they put that in there in place, or they asked to mitigate. It's either one or the other. So if they allow us to do that, we can go straight through and then just take whatever section that we remove out and replant them somewhere else within the park. But I would leave both options open of either going around or cutting through. Then that way we can talk to the engineer about that directly.
You know, I like the little green on the corner, the 90-degree turn you make on that little walkway, that little green thing there. That's a pretty cool little spot where you could put a couple chairs around there and somebody can just pull in there and just
That's
have,
the intent.
yeah, that's pretty cool. I kind of like that.
So the landing of this
Right.
boardwalk, since you don't want the green structure to the south, you don't.
I like this, not through the main.
We don't like the green structure to the south that big. It can be a boardwalk. We don't really need
And
it.
that's my question. Will it still be a boardwalk, because that will eat into the parking structure?
We don't need that to be a boardwalk.
I would leave that area natural. We don't-
Yep.
Okay, so
Have a
so
view of a natural
the
area.
entrance to the boardwalk will start where all those guys go fishing now, right? Where that corner is cleared out. That'll be
Southwest. of
Okay.
that.
There's a weather station there too.
the weather station got decommissioned. They're not going to be using that anymore. I talked to with
Well,
the,
really, we can remove
they
that.
just left the pilot. Yeah.
So you can make that entrance right there from the north.
Okay.
The
And-
southwest area.
And a question about the parking lot too. Keep the same footprint and just remill and restripe. That's going to be
Yep.
another thing
For now, for sure. Yeah.
for now. Okay.
Because you need as much as possible if you're going to put trucks and trailers up
Yeah.
there, or whatever out there.
So I think I have a pretty good direction with the current grant, and I think I have a pretty good direction when we go to hard engineering on what you guys want.
You'll get that handicapped canoe launch thing. That's a grant, right?
Yeah, that's an easy grant.
Okay, cool. And we'll get the park grant.
The playground seems pretty easy. We're going to move forward with getting everything, all that.
Keep the
pieces
asphalt there and just stripe and repaint.
Yeah, we know where the bathroom's going. And so this is exactly what this tool is meant to do. Actually.
Cool.
Right. So you see it in action. We'll get to the other parks at some point, not tonight, but at least I have some direction we can move forward.
Now we need to get you familiar with CAD drawings. You can draw this all up and show it to us.
Actually, so part of this too, they gave us, it's called Twin Motion, and it did give me access to the modeler, so I'm learning it. And they gave
Okay.
us the files.
Awesome.
Pretty cool, actually. It's
Oh,
pretty
so you
fun.
can change stuff around.
So I got a little clunky still, right? But they gave it to us. So.
How about a little Grok action? Load these pictures into Grok and just tell it where you want the stuff to be and let it do it.
Right.
I talked to Joey Deeb today. He's built a couple still houses out there. He's got plans for them. He's got your number. I'll give you his number too if you want to call him when you can. And you can look at those.
Yeah.
A lot of these
Engineer's
grants,
gonna do that,
a lot of
right?
these grants require an engineered set of
So
plans
stamped drawings, yeah.
that are going to look at the whole project, right? In the meantime, we'll just leave a beach area. We know that can be easily converted to a future boat ramp at any time,
Well, you
right? At least there's a space set aside. If it stays a beach for whatever reason, and the boat ramp never comes to fruition, you at least still have like nice beach area, right? So that's how we'll kind of play it. It's all phased. Everything changes over time too, right? But we need to get the park back, right?
So you got what you need for Brasher,
What's
right?
up?
You got what you need for Brasher, so we're moving on to.
That-
Can I
that's
add one
all
more thing?
Sure.
So with our waterproof bathroom,
Right.
maybe concrete, I don't know.
Yeah.
Can you put a deck on it with a little railing around it?
Well, this is going to be slab on grade. It's going to be cheaper. It might have
I
elevation.
understand that.
Slab on grade. I don't know how a.
What do you mean by
You mean
that?
like an upper level deck where like
Yeah, like, you know, like
observation, or?
a set of stairs you can walk up and you can stand up there and there's railing all the way around. You just look out the
Oh,
window.
you can smell people's
Little
farts.
watchtower, little,
I think that's going to be
A little
Style.
windows peak kind
that
of
might
like
be cost prohibitive. I have to see because that is going to be that's
And it has to be
different
ADA
types of
accessible.
footings,
No, it's-
accessibility.
you don't have-
Anything elevated for the public has to be ADA accessible.
So you have stairs and a ramp.
Yes.
You have to have both.
There is no way around it.
If you
Or
do
you gotta
it
put
out
an
on the
elevator.
still
You can leave them on the ground.
You got one
You cannot do
place
that.
where all of that is that.
And when we try to get these other components in, we are going to need a restroom.
where
That's what the grant person has told us. So as we start to get these other pieces together, I think we'll be better off with the other grants to get the other pieces because they'll see that we're actually doing something.
We're going to be as friendly as we can here for ADA stuff all the way around,
Can you
right?
keep
I mean, that's what the
reading
idea is, right? Anywhere anybody can go, so can no
If it's a public accessible
I- I-
place, you
okay.
cannot limit ADA.
Right.
Okay.
And Vice Mayor, that's, if you look at a lot of the stuff we're doing, even with the grants, is we're trying to procure a lot of our resources through these grants. So let's say the boardwalk. When you guys look at the boardwalk, I asked them to go look at a grant for ADA boardwalks and go around those parks if you want. Because why? It allows me to go after dollars that I don't have to build the boardwalk that we do want. And the mechanism that I can get it through is through ADA compliance. And so that's kind of, those are some of the triggers that we're working with and pulling so that the dream does come true, but it's going to come in phases and it's going to come in moments where we have you guys look at concepts to approve placement of grant projects.
Well,
I
Cheryl,
think
the
Derek said
ADA
it best. We've accomplished a lot here today, and I think
Yes.
he's got the idea of what we're trying to
Yes.
do.
And the ADA is generally much safer.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, it's safety featured.
Yeah.
And as we get the engineering plans together, you're having there was a question about the green roofs. We're trying to be consistent in our parks for maintenance and look, and so the green roof would probably be the item. The green metal roof would probably be what we go with material wise.
I love
We
it.
talked to Daryl about maintenance, making sure that it's not going to be any extra work for him and things like that. So we have that in mind as well. So that's basically the end of this item. Really present these. And I just need that guidance for my very soon to be had meeting. And then as we come up with these opportunities for the other parks or we get engineering plans rolling, we're going to take this tool back out and we're going to lay it back out and we're going to start marking things off and doing exactly what we did here tonight.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
All right.
Great job.
So you want to go to the other parks? Just
No, we'd
Okay.
probably be here for 2 days.
Okay.
So I just needed those two pieces of direction.
it was in the packet, so I just
I know,
asked.
this is just, you'll be able to chew on this for quite some time, and we'll be able to,
When I looked over Sal, it looked like he was ready to roll. So.
exactly, roll over.
We
Well,
should
there you
have
go.
this
Hey,
out.
140. Let's go, Sal.
2 days was I don't think that was enough time. But
So we need another workshop for the other parks, huh?
What we'll do is, as we come up with the engineering plans start rolling, roll out your guidance information on how you want things to go. It'll be
These do.
very similar.
These do help because we can look at them and say yes and no.
And
I mean,
obviously the focus, I think the first funding that we need to do Brasher. So I think we're
That's not a good point. Yeah, that's our thought too, is we focus on that part.
Yeah.
Can we get just a little bit of shade on that playground?
So shade is incorporated in the grant, and the pad is incorporated in the play structures. We're going to see if we might get them for some of maybe the sidewalk and maybe even the bathroom. That's our conversation.
Okay, perfect.
We have, yeah.
Those kids have to go to the bathroom, don't they?
I just want to make a point when we talk about purchasing and funding. Bradshaw hasn't been done since the early '80s, and you have an opportunity now. Don't steer away from what costs may be, because there is a lot of money for Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Within the state. And if we work diligently between now and the next time we can get these projects shovel ready to go to the state, there is a lot of money for this. So if you want this observation tower for the restroom, I would go for it. If you want this boardwalk, I wouldn't back away from anything because you have something for design. You have this design built. Then you take that as a shovel-ready project. And you don't have to do it all at the same time. You do it in phases, just like we're talking about. Let's get the restroom and the playground established, and then we can work on So I wouldn't steer away from anything. If there's something that you want, vote on it. Do it.
Thank you.
And that way we can always go for that later. And the thing is, you'll have that design, you'll have those plans, and you're saying, okay, we're ready for this. We're gonna get this money from the state, or we're gonna get it from another grant. There is a lot of money out there for Parks and Rec. A lot.
I think the big thing right now is, like, this could be like phase one, like you're saying, we could do it in phases. But you want to go out for a bigger boardwalk and a bigger covered area out there and another observation deck, fine.
We were talking about phases. We talked because the boardwalk's going to touch water and it's probably going to take time with the Army Corps. So we do upland as phase one. Maybe that becomes phase two then.
So
It doesn't take much longer.
So one thing we had talked about too, instead of having all these separate buildings, separate bathrooms, separate lookout, if we could combine the bathrooms into the structure where they're going to be fishing from and all that, if we made a bigger structure and included the bathrooms in that, that would also free up space for parking and other things. Do we need two separate structures? I know the bathroom is right now located there. I don't know if we've looked to see if it's actually able to extend that out to the water and kind of incorporate that together.
I think because the infrastructure is right there, the lift station's still there.
Yeah.
That's going to be an extra cost.
Water and sewers right there. That's why.
But if the cost to fix that is much less than building a building there, and you can actually have a nicer building. I mean, I would look at it. This is an option.
Yeah. I know the conversation was to, the bathroom was going to be elevated to allow views. Well, if you have that stilt house out at the point, you have view.
Yeah.
And so if
You don't need two places.
Other thing, right? You're trading the view. We can do a cheaper bathroom that's within budget, and then still have the opportunity to view because we're going to be able to go out that
You
point.
could have a
And it'll be
two-story
covered
stilt
out
house.
there too.
Well,
So
correct.
you'll be
Yeah, we
smoking
do.
the sun.
Yeah. Just like
You
I'm
could
good
have a
with that.
two-story
But
stilt house.
again, it's short-sighted to me just not to look at what it would take to put the infrastructure a little farther out and integrate everything in that one building, because it's much cheaper to build a bigger building than two.
You can't put one building on the water and then put a bathroom in there and connect them together. It's not going to work. You can't put a bathroom out in the water.
Why can't you put a bathroom in the water?
You have a two-story stilt house, have the bathroom on the bottom floor of the stilt house.
You could do anything, Chris.
Yeah, if you got deep enough wallet. Yeah, we're talking about. I think
Again,
we talked about building something.
I'm
out
not
of the
asking
water
to
that was
do
like-
this. What I'm asking you is, I want information to make a good decision. If we can have a nicer look, I mean, that's our focus is not a bathroom. Our focus is to have that lookout to be able to go out there. Obviously, you have to have restroom facilities. So if you can integrate the restroom facilities into a nicer lookout area, let's look at the cost.
Now, are you talking about putting a nicer lookout area? Because the nicer lookout area is not going to go past the mangroves, right?
It's past the mangroves now.
So you're talking about like running down the aisle. If you want to go to the bathroom, you got to run all the way down the deck and all the way over there. I don't like all that.
Well, if you're out on a lookout, you have to run all the way back to the bathroom over here. What's the difference?
Maybe then
Are you
two
trying to-
restrooms? Is that what you're perhaps?
I think they want the bathroom to be a carousel, so you sit down and you
Your
just.
focus point of the park is going to be that lookout. It's where you're going to go. You're going to fish there. You're going to do all these things there.
I'm okay with a bathroom,
You got to
and
have a
I'm okay
bathroom.
with a lookout place.
We can do both. All I want to know is when we make a decision, I want to see if we need to do them separate. Maybe we integrate them to something. I mean, I want some options. I don't want just. I mean, it's laid out now the way it's been laid out for years. Do we have to have a bathroom right there? I don't know the answer to
Well,
that.
if someone's going to have a wedding out there, you can have the bathroom on a small bathroom by the playground, but you can also have a small bathroom on a.
We'll have to check if there's regulations. A lot of times too, if you have a playground splash pad,
That's
the
what I'm
restroom
asking
has
for.
to be a
Give us
certain
check
distance,
see-
right?
Come to us with information, and we'll make a
Yeah.
decision.
So we're gonna go forward. We're gonna work with the grant person. We're at the same time we're gonna probably spend some money like we did with Nick's on an engineer to answer all those questions for you.
Yeah. The last thing I want to do is come here and say, "What's the way we've always done it?" That's got to go.
The lift station,
Yeah, but also,
Okay.
the lift station just serves as basically it's very shallow. It's not that deep. It just basically serves because of the distance of Coons Run.
Right.
So I mean, could it be moved? Yes. If a permit allows if engineering says, yes, you can bring that over and move it closer to what you're saying, is instead of having it in the same exact spot that it's been for 40 years, we move it closer to the water and like flip flop, move the playground over to where the restroom is and flip flop it the other way. So there are options, and yes, I mean, we're only talking about extending it, 60, 70 feet,
Yeah, so-
and like I said, it's the lift station is there. It's very shallow. It's just basically there to push anything from that spot down Coons Road. It's just basically for a force main type of reason. It's not too deep. It's not anything like that. So if it needed to be moved, we can move it. It's
And it might be a nicer
You don't have to. If you're going to spend $1 million on one thing, moving a small, shallow lift station is not going to be part of your big expense. I guarantee you that. It's not the.
I hate to bring it up. I need to make sure I'm telling her to put the playground.
Yeah.
And this is like in a couple days. I've got to tell her because
I thought we were already past that until I
Well,
was
we're talking about changing the bathrooms and changing these around.
The playground didn't change, though.
Okay.
You got a playground. Chris wants the playground. He's getting a playground, and he better be there playing on it every time.
I promise you.
I'll see if they have a
push
adult playground version.
What's that?
Eric doesn't have kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't
I'm gonna have grandkids out there playing on the
That's true.
playground.
You got some
all right?
grandkids coming.
I do.
Yeah, they pop
Yeah, me
them out.
too.
Me and Bob, we're gonna be out there playing on the playground. All right.
Absolutely.
And just for the record, I'm all about playgrounds.
I'm gonna ask her.
All about playgrounds.
I'm gonna ask her too. I'm gonna say, do you have an adult playground
Playgrounds.
version?
I'm
See what
for
she comes up with.
playgrounds.
Yeah. I love playgrounds. I realize people have kids.
One variation, we need an adult playground for her.
Yeah. The only question I was asking, again, for the record, is if
Mayor hates
We'll
kids.
see,
know,
we'll see that.
we have playgrounds everywhere, is do we want to make sure we have one in every park, or do you want to have a focus of different things on park? That's all it's asking. But I'm good with playgrounds.
Now, if you want to get Eric excited, we'll talk about a cat park. We'll get a cat park going on. Well, we get kitties over there.
Yeah. If I can put a plug in, I got cats if anybody wants any. So. Good?
Yeah.
We don't need motion or anything, just information. Okay.
Great job, Derek.
Jumping back to the agenda.
That's it.
That's it. So now we're moving on to old business. Any old business?
I got one question about Nick's Park. With
Oh,
Eric.
before we go, okay, sure.
Just a quick question. I'm looking at it and I see there's variation of docks there. None of them look like the ones that I designed.
So what we're going for was the refresh, right? Because it's going to be fastest, even though it's going to be a long time to get this going. If we do any expansion of that, it's going to take even longer. But we had it kind of set up to where you can, again, phased expansion, add them in later. But right now the park is looking rough. And so for the grant, to get the grant moving, to get the refresh, that it at least needs a refresh. That's something that's relatively quicker to do than go out there and try to redo the whole thing. We still have to get the submerged land lease technically because we don't have one out there. So that's part of what they're going to do as well. Your expanded marina could happen. It's not, nothing's going to be placed there that's going to prohibit that really. You could either add on to or add on from the seawall. We tried to configure that the best we could with the parameters that we're working with at the moment. Without having the submerged land lease, we weren't sure, but they're Stantec's going to work on that for us.
So you're going to eliminate the boat lift though, right?
Well, so for this, it calls for rehabbing the boat lift on the refresh. On the refresh to get so that PD and FD can get in and out of there and they're not walking on a rickety old boardwalk.
Well, they want to move it over. You don't have any water under there. You can't.
And that's something that we're going
They either got to dredge it out or move it.
We're
because
gonna-
it's- you can't launch on
If they want to
24/7.
put it over by where the rescue boat
we're going to ask about dredging too, at least just in that portion, because dredging's going to come.
They got to clean that out anyway.
Yeah. And CRA can cover that.
Because that's a public park, public purpose. Yes, so we can incorporate that into the larger redevelopment plan. We can't just go out there and dredge that spot.
Well-
That's maintenance, right?
These docks here, there's only one that looks like similar to the one that's out there. All the others don't even look like what's out there now. So I don't understand why you're refurbishing it. What kind of docks you put? It makes a difference. What kind of docks you put there, or
Well,
design?
the refurbish project is going to take care of the routing pilings, take care of the routing deck, take care of the issues with the concrete. The only thing that we're going to really add is some shade structure where those current benches are, the sunburn benches at home, because there's no shade structure there. So that's really the only adding thing right now, which will buy the board time to figure out long term, because that park needs help too, just as much as Thrasher, and we want to keep it together and keep it refreshed and give you all some time to figure out where you want to put that ramp in the long term.
And that goes back to the 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Everything's possible. We gotta
Yeah,
bite
we
the pieces.
always
We
figure out
gotta
a way
bite
to
them a
make it
piece at a time to get us to our end state, which is we all know what we want, and that's the direction that we're going in. There's some steps that we will need to take in order to get that left foot forward, right foot forward, and as we move forward, you'll see it start to develop into those images and visions that you have, especially as we start looking at that form-based zone.
Okay, good. Moving on to old business. Any old business? Okay.
Motion.
No. Comments from the board? I'll start with my right this time. Member Hubbard. No. Member Sullivan. Vice Chair, Mayor.
No, sir.
Member Burke. Okay, well, I am going to say some things. Okay. So the first thing I probably should have brought up last meeting, but I think it applies somewhat to this as well, is our tax roll liens. We've got liens out on the books that we talked about getting with. We got to get a policy in place with the Pasco County tax appraiser.
So I sent an email to Mr. King, so I don't think he has been, we haven't discussed this with him. It's something that Andy was working on that I don't think he completed. So I've sent the email to Mr. King, and he and I can discuss it. The first step is for the city to have an agreement with the tax collector and the property appraiser, and then we do a resolution. Not hard, we just have to get the
Because
steps.
This next iteration of taxes, I want those liens on the ad valorem tax roll, non-ad valorem tax roll to collect those.
Okay.
Sent the email while we were sitting here.
That's about what we're talking. Yep.
Okay. So we'll make sure I was going. The other thing I have was I wanted to talk a little bit about the CRA residential grant program. I've talked to some folks in the past, and I brought it up. It was Pasco offered that they would demo your house for free if you were affected by the flood. Okay. I don't know what line there is for funding for that because we're kind of separately and we actually take CRA dollars and whatnot. I know when we demo a home ourselves, like we're getting ready to do on Green, we put a lien on the house and we spend those funds. We have a grant program where they can do all kind of different things, new doors, windows, whatever, beautified property. So my thought is can we consider adding to the grant program and still keep it the 5,000 limit, but that $5,000 could go towards a demo, a rebuild, a lift, any of these things that, because if you're building a new home, you're getting all the things that you could have a grant for anyway. You're getting, and from the city perspective, you're getting a much better bang for your buck because they're building a brand new house on the lot. So I'd like to see us add that $5,000 grant ability to those items.
During the budget cycle, we're out of money right now.
Well, that's
And so during that budget, we'll have to bring up during the budget cycle, and we can amend that program at that point, and then you can choose too. You might have to up the amount that you allot as well because it's probably going to be a lot more popular, and I'll probably go through it in like a couple months. This time I went through it in about 4 because it's gotten really popular. So we probably were going to talk about increasing that line anyway because I've only got I don't have any money, and we still have several months left.
well, and so a little bit more discussion on that. So there's some people have already demoed at their own cost, and we're wanting to try to get that taken care of. Obviously, to go retroactive, I think it's possible. It's not a good idea. But if we open it up to where during a rebuild they can get that cost incorporated in a rebuild or whatever, they're not going back; they're going forward. So
it's really up to
somebody who's already demoed and
yes, for those folks, there's a few that
the money's gone. There's none there. We're gonna have new money coming up, and we can't go back and start.
no, you're not hearing me. I'm talking about policy. I'm not talking about individuals, circumstances. Where I'm talking policy. So when we build the policy, if we were to look at that, even though we're out of money, that doesn't change the fact that the policy could change. It's just it's not funded, right? So we have a policy in place. I'm looking for a possible policy change to include these things and whether
Retroactive.
No, what I'm saying is people would be overjoyed if they could go back, but the problem is you can't really do that. I mean, you technically could, but then you can't. So the way that I would frame it would be is that you could do it for a demo if you haven't demoed, so you could request that. So that'd be a pathway to some funding. If you've already demoed but you're building a house, there's in that new home building process you could request it, and it'd be available. Or if you were lifting your house in a mitigation standpoint, you could request it. Again, these are projects that are ongoing, not going back, but there's so many steps in that process to demo, the rebuild, the lift, or whatever, that there's plenty of time to ask for that $5,000 grant.
I think it might be as simple. Right now, there's a line that says no new construction. I mean, you could take that line out of the program.
Right. That's my question.
Could be as simple as that, perhaps. But then you probably want to have some parameters on that.
Yeah.
Definitely want some parameters.
Yeah, not necessarily if it's new construction because of a demolition or whatever. It's a mitigation type thing. I would be good with restricting to that, not just somebody buying a lot and building. That's different.
Right. There's a lot of those going on right now.
Yeah, that wouldn't be my focus. My focus would be on those that were impacted by the disaster.
And two, because we're supposed to focus on slum and blight, right? And so most likely, if you're impacted, and we can address, and we can preempt the scenario where slum and blight may be occurring too. Maybe the building official is not quite there, but we can kind of. There's a section of the law that kind of allows you to identify that it's going to get that way, and then you kind of get to it before it does get to the point where the building official has to step in. That's an option that you can put into the language as well, into the new application. It might take a couple rounds to change the program. So even if we don't have money now, by the time we get all the language figured out, it may be October 1 and ready to go. And then at that point, you just got to say, how much more money am I going to throw at this because it's probably going to be more popular.
And that's not to say, too, this is a good segue. The other thing is, and I don't know where we're at, CRA budget-wise or whatever, but we could always look at adding some in as well, mid-cycle.
Well, you really shouldn't. It's frowned upon.
We've done it before.
We are working on our compliance
Right.
issues that we've had in the past, and I'm being really strict on that. Especially we have a revenue auditor, and they're going to have fresh eyes, and they made it clear that they're going to look and hold us accountable. So
we're coming up on a new budget cycle relatively quick anyway, so it's not a big deal.
We've already started the kind of thinking about budget anyway. So just a little bit of time, we'll get to October 1 in no time, and we're ready to go.
But budgets can be changed. We meet, we talk about reallocation. That's something.
For CRA, it's not the same as the city. It's very strict on the CRA. You have to change your plan. You've got to reallocate things. It's not as straightforward as just doing a budget amendment through the city. It's not the same at all.
Now that requires a complete change in our budget strategy.
That requires a change in your plan, your 5-year, your budget, because we have to budget everything. We can't say we're going to take from contingency because we're not allowed to have contingency. Right. We have to budget everything. And so that's going to cause a domino effect with your other project. That's why we really have to do our due diligence during the budget cycle to really plan ahead for that next year to make sure that we captured everything that we want for that year. And if something new comes up, we really should be waiting to the next budget cycle to address it.
Well, this wouldn't be new. This should be
a reappropriation. It could be a new program language. It could be new numbers. Anything new.
So if you decide to add more money to an existing pot, because you have to literally pull it from somewhere else, you have to explain that entire process.
And we have to address not only the financial part of it, we've got to address the plan and then the CIP.
Second, third, fourth order effects.
It's a huge domino effect with the CRA.
And again, all I'm saying is it can be done. It can
It can be done. It's just not ideal.
Yeah.
well, it depends on what ideal is. If it's what your goal is.
I think for what you're looking for, which is going to require a change in the policy, would be next budget year anyway. So I think yes, could you do it? Yes, you could do it. Is it ideal to do it? No. Is there a lot of hoops? Could it cause trouble with auditing? Yes. So I think the answer is yes, but highly recommend.
And again, we're closing. But listen, I'm just saying, if whatever, how we look at that or whatever, if there's a need or something we address. Obviously that's because and I guess the reason that I bring this up is because, we're a while past the hurricanes or whatever, but people are still going through that process. And so, if our plan is to try to help those things, maybe we would want to do that. Maybe we don't, but there's a path. May not be an easy path, but if we decide as a board, we wanted to try to help those folks, there's a path there. But I think, like I said, we're close enough. I'm really just bringing it up. I think we need to look at that policy because it's been brought up to me and it makes sense to me. And I think we need to enhance that process. And if we do need the budget cycle to put more money in there to accommodate that, or maybe we just open it up and we leave the same amount of allocation. Again, I'm open for all those things. I just want to make sure the policy is better. And I think we need to do that.
Yeah, well, and if that's the direction, we'll start kind of exploring that
for you. So that's all. So with that, unless there's anything else, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.